Alrighty then. Well, I guess this is a thing that's happening. Sorry, it's I'm just a little wee bit distracted right now. Good evening and welcome to Nerd Rage, episode 168. I'm actually not ready for this at all. But first elephant in the room, you're probably wondering why you're staring straight at a static image right now. It's because I don't have a light in this room. I went to change the light bulb earlier today, and guess what? The light fixture decided to stop working. So now there's no light in this room, so I'm basically going to be spending the rest of my time in this house in a dark room. That's going to be nice. It's going to be really nice and fun. Not that I mind overly much. I actually just bought a new mouse and keyboard that glow, so that's going to kind of offset the fact that it's going to be dark, but it's still suboptimal. So yeah, basically that means no video because there's no natural light sources and no other sources of light. A desk lamp wouldn't help, by the way, because as some of you may remember from 2 years ago, I don't have any outlet space or desk space for a desk lamp, so nothing like that either. So, hooray. I'm so glad that this is the situation that I am stuck in. And that's among other things. I've not been in a terribly good mood in general lately, so that's helping things along a bit. And yeah, really excited for really excited for things. Yeah, words, I don't really have them right now. Because I'm all over the place right now because things aren't quite going according to plan, and it's completely throwing me off right now. It is absolutely 100% completely throwing me off right now. And I know that Shannon was busy this afternoon, so so she's late, which is again suboptimal. Yeah. Very much, yeah. What's funny is that I should be more awake than I am now, but I have just had way too much on my mind. I was also busy sharing out a new YouTube video earlier today, which I didn't even get to until about the past half hour, even though it's been out since early this morning, which I don't even understand why it was out early this morning, because I, didn't actually publish it early this morning. I just uploaded it. But I'm having trouble scheduling things, but for some reason YouTube just decided, hey, we're just gonna auto-publish it, and now I'm just like, oh, now I'm behind the curve by like 8 hours on this, and yeah, it's supposed to say I'm not happy about that either. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weekend. On the other hand, if any of you are interested, I played a game of Cards Against Humanity. A few games, actually, of Cards Against Humanity with the Tantalus Boys. And I recorded one of those games. And by the way, that's my second game I ever played of Cards Against Humanity. I am absolutely terrible at it. But at the same time, it was obviously not safe for work because it's Cards Against Humanity. But I think that it was fairly entertaining. So if you guys want to check that out, I actually can share that is not the correct link. That is the link to the heck? What in the no, stop it. What the heck? Browser, what are you doing to me? There we go. Okay. So we're just gonna hit that. And I'm gonna pop that into the chat there. Because I think it was incredible. I think it was incredibly not safe for work or not. I think it was incredibly entertaining. It was also a lot of fun editing it. Frankly, if I had more time, I would have spent a lot more time like giving that some good edits, like photoshopping some images really well for it, and like photoshopping some images for it, and just generally giving it more flair and pizzazz, since it's basically just a web browser based version of the game. you know, and I overlaid some music from Overclocked Remix, some goofier, lighter music from Overclocked Remix with it, to add some atmosphere. But yeah, definitely, it's I think it's worth your while. Not right now though. Right now, there's a show that I am just not 100% sure what I'm doing in right now. Right back to classic Nerd Rage after last week. Gotta love it. Of course, one of the problems right now is almost unrelated to me. Almost. I mean, I'm the one who broke the light fixture, of course, but I'm just gonna sip that. But yeah, I mean, yes, I'm not really sure how. On the other hand, it's an old house, so that's probably I'm gonna try that again. That's probably part of the reason. Anyway, all right. What the heck do I want to talk about? I don't really know. Well, last week wasn't tech problem free. That wasn't tech problem free. In case you forgot, there was a problem related entirely to me last week as well, with the CPU usage. But that was entirely my fault, and ergo, it's like, it's like. But that was still a technical problem at the very beginning of the episode. But after that, it was completely smooth. And frankly, tech problems I'm not really worried about. They happen. What I'm worried about is actually having the energy for the show. That's part of the reason that it's been moved to, well, now-ish, is to have more energy for the show, because as explained last week, that's always been my problem. I just don't have the energy for the show, and once things start going awry, I just don't have the energy to deal with it, and I get really frustrated, as I think we've seen many, many, many times in the previous time slot. Also, I'm trying to decide if this raspberry flavored hot cocoa is any good. The jury's still out on that. I bought a Star Wars Old Republic graphic novel today. Could you enlighten us about the Old Republic in the Star Wars universe? Oh, that's a bit of a dense topic there to kind of delve into. There's raspberry flavoring to it. I don't think it's for the record, I don't think it's bad. I'm just not sure if it's good yet. I have to drink more. I have to drink more in that. Anyway, because I'm serious. It's like really hard to tell because like the raspberry's actually throwing me off, but it's not bad. It's just throwing me, I think, because I'm not used to it. Anyway, enlighten you about the Old Republic. You mean the precursor government to the Galactic Empire, which is the precursor government to the New Republic? Yeah, that's kind of dense, and it also depends on what you're really talking about. In part because I have no idea what's actually canon in the Star Wars universe anymore. Ever since Disney kind of wiped out the old expanded universe, I'm not really sure how much of the old expanded universe remains canon, because I think a little bit does. I'm not 100% certain. Like, I'm not sure, like, what regarding, like, the Old Republic is canon. Unless, of course, it's related to the movies or the Clone Wars series, but that's about it. And it's related to one of those two things, and it's definitely canon. But otherwise, it's just like, no, I don't know. As for Mass Effect Andromeda, oh, I'm so afraid for this game. Because it looks like we're gearing up for a... I don't even think a train wreck is accurate, because I think that's overstating it. I don't think that Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be a train wreck. But I don't think it's going to be good. I'm just gonna give my honest predictive opinion, because I decided against my better judgment to pre-order the game, because I think that the original Mass Effect trilogy was good enough to justify potentially screwing myself over on pre-ordering this particular game. You know, I think they've earned that much, even if the game is going to be bad. Um, and I intend on playing it, and I'm going to see if I can enjoy it because I get this funny feeling I'm going to manage to enjoy it anyway. But the thing about it is, basically my expectation is, I think that Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be fundamentally at its core at least a decent game. It's going to be, you know, it's going to have fun mechanics, it's going to have fun underlying mechanics, it's going to have good combat, it's going to be decent in other areas here and there as you look. You know, overall, visually, it's probably going to look pretty good. But it's going to be the most unpolished turd in the history of existence. Like, you know, it's like going to be this $40 million AAA video game, but it is going to be, but based on what we've seen from the trailers, the things that are supposed to get you excited for the game, it's going to be incredibly unpolished. But, oh yes, Tim, because I drink. Yes, I'm gonna buy booze because I drink all the time. Anyway, and that's my chief concern. You know, I know a couple of really big Mass Effect fans, and I'm kind of afraid, you know, what this is gonna do to them more than anything. The tell will be if there's day one DLC. More like the day one patch and how big that's going to be. Though hopefully the trailer has given them enough forewarning to fix a lot of the more glaring errors, like the animation bugs. There are some things that you can't fix, like the clearly shoddy writing. Like, what I'm really hoping, frankly, is that what it is that you're gonna have, like, is that, like, it's like gonna be more spotty than just overall bad throughout the game. Because it's overall bad throughout the game, it's gonna be a cringe fest. It's going to be a cringe fest even all the way through. But hopefully, you know, because, you know, you're going to have different writers here and there, different people editing here and there. What you're going to have is that you're going to have, like, you're going to have good spots and bad spots. You know, that's kind of my hope and kind of sort of what I'm going to be expecting. You know, because you know, when you send out, try that again. When you send out the review copies, you know, the reviewers and whoever else, the YouTubers, etc., they're always going to focus on the parts that stand out to them, and the parts that stand out to them in this case are going to be the bad ones. But that doesn't necessarily mean there aren't good parts in between. It just means that the bad parts stand out above the good parts, which is, of course, a bad thing. But yeah, let's hold on one second. But yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely like lowering my expectations for the game, you know. I've never really been hyped for it, which is probably why I waited so long to pre-order it. You know, I've never really been hyped for it because I'm not really sure I was behind adding to the Mass Effect universe when the original trilogy was itself good enough, you know, despite the snafu for the conclusion of Mass Effect 3. You know, the trilogy as a whole was absolutely great. And even Mass Effect 3 was fine, you know. The ending was a little rushed. That's fine. EA does that garbage all the time, you know. So I'm not gonna complain about that particular element. But let me think. Wow, my train of thought really just went there. The only difference being that my train of thought kind of went, but I'm not sleepy, so I'm like kind of able to keep talking, as opposed to just falling completely silent, completely awkwardly like I used to. So that's a kind of a nice bonus. Of course, that's not helped by the fact that, again, there's no moving videos, so it's like the silences are probably more pronounced therefore. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, expectations though compared to the original Mass Effect trilogy are lowered because I'm sure I was 100% behind this to begin with, and we're just going to see what happens. You know, obviously the lack of polish is going to be a serious concern because it implies things about the rest of the game But I think that as long as the core gameplay is okay, the Mass Effect Andromeda is not going to dud. It's just going to be a... It's just going to be... It might vary, but it might be a kind of ignominious end to the series. In fact, what I kind of expect it to be is a science fiction version of Dragon Age Inquisition. For those of you who don't know, Dragon Age Inquisition, of course, is the third game of the Dragon Age series. I bought it and stopped playing it about 30 hours in because it was so, what's the word? Grindy. Grindy's not quite the word, though. The problem is that they packed too much into the game. Like, it felt like kind of like a single-player MMO experience. You know, because there's so many side quests, so many things to do, actually, that it's kind of overwhelming and the game loses focus. I do intend to going back to Inquisition eventually, but I actually bought Dragon Age 2 first. I'm going to play through that, and then combine that playthrough with Inquisition and try to understand as much as I can about Inquisition. But yeah, basically, Inquisition's problem is that it's too dense. It has too much going on in it, so the game loses a lot of its focus. You know, it's really hard to kind of, like, get any sense of a... You know, it's kind of a, it basically kind of becomes a slog after a while. You know, part of the reason I stopped playing is because I just got bored of trying to power my way through all the areas. Because there was just too much to do, and I didn't feel like I was really focusing on what I needed to do anymore. You know, one of the great things about Dragon Age Origins, which is the pinnacle of that series, I'm sure Dragon Age 2 is a good game, it's not going to be the same, is that it had a lot to do. It was an 80-hour plus game to play. But at the same time, each, like, individual area was focused enough that it felt like you were always, even when you were doing side quests all over the place, it still felt like you were moving towards your goal. It still felt like you're moving towards your goal, and so it created a momentum. It created an energy that allowed Origins to eventually reach its conclusion. And I can't make the same comparison for the Mass Effect trilogy, of course, because, well, it's a different kind of game. As a third-person shooter, it's more action-oriented anyway, so there's always a goal there. There's always a goal kind of present in mind anyway. You know, even though I am noticing in my YouTube playthrough of the original Mass Effect, that there are some pacing issues, but that's more dependent on your play style. You know, if you're very kind of thorough in your completion of the game, then it's going to cause, like, story missions to kind of space out a little too much. It's going to be a little awkward, but first time playing it, that doesn't matter as much. But Inquisition has the problem, though, where it tries to take what Origins did, and that's have a lot of, you know, and like have like these big expansive areas, you know, with a lot of side quests and so forth, but then just multiplies it to the point where you just feel like you're aimless after a while. And I kind of wondering if Andromeda is going to be the same thing. I kind of wonder if Andromeda is going to be the same way, if it's going to have that same impact. You know, it's gonna be another kind of single player MMO experience where every time you travel to a planet, you know, you're gonna find a whole bunch of side quests, and it's gonna bog down the pacing of the game. Because pacing in almost every form of media is very important. You know, if you don't keep the main primary narrative moving, you know, then everything's gonna bog down. You know, any failed television episode, for instance, you know, it's gonna have B and C plots that drag down the overall pacing of the A plot. You know, and compare. You can find that in everything. But this is more pronounced with video games because, of course, video games have to fill a lot more of your time. Plenty of games, of course, have. By the way, before I continue, am I the only one who kind of is imagining Shannon kind of just flailing at the wheel right now in a panic? I am. It's a funny mental image. You can't tell that I'm having a funny mental image, of course, because I'm a static image right now. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, but of course it's a little more pronounced with video games though, because with video games, the thing is that you have to occupy more people's time. I mean, of course, there are plenty of short video games out there. You know, there are plenty of video games that are just 2 to 3 hours narrative, 6 to 10 hours. You know, anywhere in between. BioWare has its own bar, of course, in that BioWare RPGs tend to top 30 to 40 hours, depending on the level of completion, and of course, the aforementioned Dragon Age Origins topped over 80. You know, if you really went for full completion. And it's actually pretty consistent, too. It's not like it varies wildly between playthroughs. I played Origins through 3 times, and every single time the game lasted about 80 hours for me. You know, I played Mass Effect like 3 different times, and it lasted about 40 hours for me. So there's a pretty consistent, you know, so there's a pretty consistent, curve going on there. Also, what Shane said, just keep driving, Shannon. What the heck are you doing? What are you doing? Stop wording on the tablet or the phone or whatever you're on and drive. Anyway, these crazy country bumpkins. Anyway, okay, I got on a tangent again. Video games, the thing about them, again, is that you have to fill a lot more time, especially when you go for, like, BioWare length of games, you know? You have to find more things for the player to do, more things for the player to improve themselves, more secrets for the player to uncover. Where the heck was I going with this? Oh, dear. Oh, yeah, you're not getting bogged down in side narratives. And I think it's a fine balancing act when it comes to, I think it's a fine line when it comes to, making that work. You know, it's very easy to kind of just send it, you know, to kind of just like send a game careening off into side quest hell. And I'm wondering if Andromeda is going to be that. I wonder if they're going to do the exact same thing they did with Inquisition and mistakenly put too much in. You know, in their attempts to try and flesh out the game world with side quests and with large expansive areas, they ended just bogging down the game in too much fluff. You know, because at the end of the day, even for long games like that, you need to give the player enough of a driving force to keep them moving through the game. And of course, that driving force, in the case of RPGs, is the main plot. You know, and you'll see this throughout video games. In fact, I think there was only one game series that ever did that right, in my opinion, in that they had a lot of side quests, even sidetracked you. But, excuse me. But at the end of the day, managed to keep you focused on the game. And that was Golden Sun. Golden Sun being, of course, the current Oscar and Fire playlist I'm doing. A music playlist I'm doing. Golden Sun, for whatever reason, I'm actually not even 100% sure right to this day what it was, but Golden Sun did a perfect job of, like, incorporating a large number of side quests that even diverted off the primary plot, but managed to either tie those quests into the main plot in subtle ways, or otherwise made those quests so worthwhile that you really didn't care that you were just diverted for half an hour to an hour on an errand that isn't really, that isn't even related to your primary quest. You know, but that's very rare and very hard to do. And frankly, I would kind of wish that, you know, BioWare/EA, because really this is EA executive meddling that's messing up a lot of what BioWare's been doing in recent years. But it's like one of those things that you wish that they kind of just realize that when people want to play a BioWare game, what they really want to play is a strong story/character-driven narrative, you know, with the trappings of a decent game behind it. You know, it doesn't have to be a great game. Mass Effect most certainly was not a great game, gameplay-wise, but story-wise and character-wise, it was absolutely phenomenal. You know? You know, gameplay, though, like, the shooting mechanics were janky, the Mako exploration missions were absolutely horrific, as I have learned having replaying the game for the third time. trying to drive that stupid tank. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. Hilarious, but horrible. But yeah, it's a let's see here. Speaking of video games, we may have found a school for the boy to go to so he can create his own games. Oh, cool. Yeah, going to that's a respectable thing to go to university for. I'll say that much. We are hopefully we'll solve electricity after the North and or South China Sea conflicts. Ha! Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I am kind of dubious in the future with regards to these things. As much as I shouldn't be, I am. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda. That was a long ramble, a long rant, but at least I didn't trail off into complete nonsense and incoherent gibbering. Is the word I'm looking for? I think it is. But yeah, at least I didn't do that. I still squirreled a lot, but I didn't become completely incoherent and incapable of actually, communicating coherent thoughts. So that's a nice change from usual. Ha 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 ha. The maker of that hovercraft thingy in I actually never played that. I actually never played the hovercraft thingy in Mass Effect 2. I intend on doing that. I intend on getting all the DLC for Mass Effect 2. I haven't gotten for 1. That's because the DLC for Mass Effect 1, except for Bring Down the Sky, perhaps, is by and large kind of superfluous. Mass Effect 2 and 3, though, I do intend on getting all the DLC for, especially 3, because 3 has the Citadel, and I never got to play the Citadel, and the Citadel sounds absolutely hilarious. So, hey, look, I'm receiving one of those Skype calls. I'm gonna do the... No, I don't... No, turn off camera. I don't want to see my own bloody face. Because you can't see it. It blends into the night. Anyway,
Why? Because you're black?
Yeah, that's it. That's 100% it. That is 100% totally it. No, it's because I don't have a light in this room now. Anyway, so you can't actually see me because I am cast in shadows, as you might have seen for a split second there. So yeah. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
I just got to talk about video games for the longest time.
I was actually listening to you.
Wow, you weren't falling asleep like you usually do?
I mean, I was driving. What can I say?
I was driving. I was a captive audience. What was I gonna do?
So, you want to talk about something besides video games now?
Yes, actually, because my brain power needs to recharge for our Walking Dead discussion in like 10 minutes.
Okay. So, before we get into The Walking Dead, I started watching Iron Fist on Netflix.
I heard about that. Though I haven't looked at Netflix in ages. I really should.
Hi everyone. Everybody's saying hello.
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so it's kind of weird because I'm not familiar with the source material on Iron Fist, and I'm watching it and thinking, dude, this is a lot like Green Arrow.
Oops, wrong universe.
It wasn't it just, to me, the dialogue seems really kind of sometimes unnecessary and stilted, and it's kind of corny in that respect. I'm hoping that it gets better because I would like to have another, like, Marvel superhero type show that I can actually enjoy. But there's just a lot of dialogue where they're explicitly stating things that are kind of plain, that they shouldn't have to explicitly state. It should be one of those things where you pick it up in context.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of that. and it's really it's beginning to it started annoying me after just a couple of episodes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, I don't like um when TV treats the audience like they're all idiots. And that's what it's doing, you know?
How do you
They're what?
how do you explain our audience then? No,
We don't treat people like dummies.
we don't.
We treat them like family.
What do you do with Tim then?
They're just depends on how you treat your family. Um, so yeah, I mean, I wonder what the chat room thinks about Iron Fist though, because yeah, it's really annoying me. There's so much that is being said that doesn't need to be said, and it seems like it's just it's kind of killing the vibe of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyhow, so
Yeah,
you can watch a couple episodes of that and kind of tell me what you think about it. But
I can
yeah, it only
if I
it
have the
only took a
time.
couple of episodes for me to sort of get annoyed by that, and I want to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I really do because, like I said, I'm not familiar with source material, so this is one of the shows in the superhero genre that I can come to it and not have any expectations.
Right.
Um, so they're kind of killing that for me because they're treating me and everyone else watching it like we're all just completely stupid. Um, so I kind of want them to get their stuff straight and maybe get better writers or something,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know. The acting is kind of corny at times too,
Oh, nice.
um,
On the other
and
hand,
it's just
yeah. On the other hand, don't we live for corny writing?
not in that way. Maybe on like our website, but not in our TV shows.
Hmm.
There's a time and a place for corny writing.
Speaking of corny writing, guess whose draft of his Dune review, which he neglected over a for over an age, guess whose draft has disappeared?
Wait, what? Disappeared? Did you disappear? What just
I'm
happened?
sorry. One second.
Okay, so Shane's son says that I'm making fair points, but the action gets really good around episode 5. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll just have to hang in there till episode 5. I mean, there was some fair action, just, you know, it still kind of irritates me when they're sitting there saying things that you should already have sort of been able to comprehend just by watching the interactions of the characters. And
Right.
you know yeah, it's just I assume this is made for like a teenage and adult audience, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to spell things out as if 5-year-olds are watching
But that's how we do everything in the modern era.
it. uh, well, I know a lot of young adults like to act like they're toddlers these days, but that doesn't mean that we need to dumb down all of our entertainment.
But that's just gonna be the inevitable result, though, of the constant infantilization of adulthood.
Mm. Well, you know what isn't? written for children? The Walking Dead.
Hey, segue.
You like how I did that? That was cool. That was very smooth right there.
The fact that the fact that you're just calling attention to it's completely killing the cool factor right now. It's just
No, it's not. It's totally cool. I can
no,
pat myself on the back for that.
you're stabbing the
Good
cool.
job,
You're
me.
you're
Oh yeah.
you're murdering the cool right now. It's just
I'm
dying.
not murdering cool.
Yes, you are.
I'm like the genesis of cool. I
You're the
just asked my kids.
you're the cool
All cool flows from me.
you're the cool murderer.
uh, so, The Walking Dead. Mm.
Mm,
Morgan went to his dark place.
yes, and he came out half whole.
It's kind of hard to say where he's at right now. Other than
He's
on
in
the
a bad
porch
place.
turning his, pea stick into a weapon
Mm-hmm.
because he was sharpening the point of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did not see that happening in that way. Um,
Yes, I know you didn't because all your predictions pointed some other direction for it.
um, hmm. Yeah, I like that Carol gave him the out of leave but not leave and just gave him the house.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Oh no,
Um,
it's Daniel.
oh, he's here. Finally
Uh,
got logged.
uh, mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
oh, hi. Hi. Come on in.
We are home.
I'm doing a show.
I see. We saw you took the pool down.
Yeah.
Faith is gonna ask you if you got a new one.
No.
The pool.
I'm doing a show, so you don't have to bring in your stuff.
Why is the kitchen look clean?
um, I will get into all of that later. Where's your bag?
I got pie in
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, he kind of took a detour through Crazy Town when the boy died. And oh my gosh, like the one character that did
Whoa,
not
okay,
deserve to die.
okay. Your quality just decided to take a dump.
Eh.
Anyway, you're saying?
Um, yeah, he took a detour through Crazy Town after the kid died, and that was like the one character that should not have died.
Mm-hmm.
The kid was, just so innocent and good. um, and, you know, a good influence, I think, on Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was kind of a rough death right there. Um, but yeah, and really the only person that Morgan kind of became close with at the kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is why it affected him so badly.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because basically Benjamin became his kind of surrogate son, and he'd already lost his actual son, to the
yeah,
apocalypse at the very beginning. So it's like,
and that last thing that Benjamin said to him,
mm-hmm.
uh, so I don't know. I think he he came out of Crazy Town and he got his murder mojo back. So um, he might actually turn out to be a pretty powerful warrior in this war
Mm-hmm.
if he doesn't go completely bonkers. Um,
Is is, is Chester
Shush.
okay?
He's whining because one of the girls went back out.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Stop. Shush. Shush. Um,
Anyway.
and wow, so the delivery, the way that he told Carol the news, that was pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she didn't have a whole lot of time to adjust to all of that. Uh,
No,
so now I
frankly,
guess
maybe she
Carol's
didn't.
just, what's that?
Frankly, maybe she didn't, honestly. Because, well, let's be honest, when she woke up at the beginning of the episode, she had already, it's like she had already kind of cluing in that things weren't all peachy keen. Like Daryl tried to make it sound.
Yeah.
So I think she was at least bracing herself for bad news. So maybe she needed less time to process it, whereas she might have just kind
I
of had a more.
don't know that she was bracing herself for bad news. The way that I read that was that she was coming to terms with the fact that she could leave everyone and be on her own, but she could not stop feeling, responsible for their safety. She couldn't stop caring about people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where she was at the beginning of the episode, that, she was kind of beginning to understand that just being separated from them did not, make her any less concerned for them. Um, and, it's really not easier to care about someone and not know what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least now she knows, and now she can do something about what she knows. And I think that's why we kind of saw Carol come back there at the end,
Mm-hmm.
because now she has purpose again,
Mm-hmm.
and
Pretty
that's
sure.
what she didn't have.
Pretty sure we can be both right on this point, though. Just like what we're saying here is not really mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
Because the very fact that
I
the.
just I just read it a little differently than you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way you read it, it's probably closer to the. It's probably closer to the point. But I definitely think that that the fact that she was expressing suspicions that Daryl didn't actually tell her the truth was indicative that she
Yeah.
was probably bracing herself that for you know the actual truth, which was not going to be great. Maybe she
Well,
wasn't
because
expecting to find out.
she's Carol. She's more equipped to handle the reality of this world than
Mm-hmm.
just about anyone else.
Yeah.
And she had to know that the reality of this world isn't that they went and killed everyone at this outpost and then everything was fine.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
You know?
I need to go. I'm gonna go handle. I need to go handle something real quick. Can you just like talk for like next 3 minutes, ish?
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'll give my thoughts on the rest of this episode. Um, okay, so uh, we know that what's her face, Rosita and Sasha are doing something dumb. Um, and now you have the kingdom is ready to join the fight. Rick is obviously trying to sort of put as much time between now and when the fight starts as he can, and not completely put the whole group in danger and extending that sort of um, that reprieve. Um, so you know that the groups are gearing up to join this fight. Um, Tara came forward and, revealed that there's another weapons cache. So they could conceivably, they could get the junkyard group ready in, quick order. Um, Kind of remains to be seen whether or not the island ladies or the beach group or whatever is whether or not they're going to join the fight. Um, but there's like this build up and it's slow, but it's happening, and I'm just wondering if Rosita and Sasha, I know that they have like a suicide pact. They don't intend to be taken alive. They don't intend to be questioned. And I'm wondering if they're going to screw everything up. Like if they're going to start a war before all the groups are actually ready to start a war, or if they're going to try to uphold their suicide pact and not get taken and questioned and somehow screw that up and become prisoners anyways. That any aggressive action they take will cause retaliation to fall on Alexandria. So, what they're doing is incredibly dumb, because the groups, while ready to go to battle, aren't like physically ready right now. You still have to get the weapons for the junkyard group. You still have to train people at Hilltop. You still have to train people at the Kingdom. You still have, a lot of like preparation to take care of. And so I'm just wondering how badly Rosita is going to end up screwing that up by kind of going off with this just revenge driving her. Her and Sasha, I don't know. I want to say that they don't get captured, but really from a perspective of writing, that would be the better story, because it would kind of screw things up more for the groups as they're building up to war.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, Shane is right. They really needed to clue Rick in to what they were planning on doing. And then he could have worked that into his plan. But, the fact that they just went off without telling anybody is what's stupid. That's what's so incredibly dumb. Because they have to know that they won't be the only ones who pay. They have to know that. Even if they end up, getting killed or killing themselves so that they don't become prisoners, they have to know that's how Negan operates. That he's not just going to let someone attack him and not go back to their home base and send a message. So, I understand that Rosita is, she's not the brightest bulb in the box, but Sasha really should have had more sense than to go off with her like that.
Well, it's not even like a lack of intelligence, though. It's just a lack of wisdom on both their parts.
Right, but I did kind of expect Sasha to be the wiser of the two. um, Rosita's been kind of driven by passions the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha has not. So, like at this point, I hate Rosita. I hate that character, and she just needs to die, however that happens. I still like the character of Sasha. She's not. She's more of a supportive figure right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that character has potential. Um,
Though right now that potential is mostly to die.
but yeah, I know that there's so much more that they need to do. And if something happens and, Negan's men end up going out to the groups, to send a message or whatever, um, they're likely to kind of, catch on that people are training and planning
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, especially a place like Hilltop where you didn't have fighters and now they want to be trained.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and where are they going to hide the guns that they took back to Alexandria?
Yeah. No. If anything, I feel like it's going. I feel like this. I feel like Sasha Rosetta's plan, whatever that may be, if anything, is going to just end up forcing Rick's hand, and it's just going to create a messy situation more than anything.
Right.
Um, it,
To force him to act before he's fully prepared and before all the people who
mm-hmm.
are going to be involved in this are fully prepared.
But if you just think about it from a sort of military perspective, that very well could also put Negan in a weird spot because he may not be prepared for what's coming, for what's coming either. Even if Rick's not prepared, that could work to his advantage, in theory. There's a lot of there's the thing is that there's a lot of the thing is that they're basically kind of this they're this wild card basically, and it could set in motion a lot of events
Right.
that could go either for our heroes or against them very badly.
Mhm.
And I think
I
that
just I feel like it would be a greater disadvantage to Rick because Negan has a cohesive group already,
mm-hmm,
and Rick doesn't, and that's what he needed the time for.
yeah,
Is just to get everyone trained, get everyone
the
armed,
heck,
and have a cohesive group and a cohesive plan,
yeah,
which he doesn't.
yes. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of possibility. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of possibilities
Mhm.
here. I'm intrigued to see what the future holds in that regard.
Yeah.
Um, just because of the sheer number of potentials there. I think.
Kind of interesting to see where what will happen in the relationship between the saviors and the kingdom after what Morgan did right in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he turned that guy's words around and used his sort of crackpot idea, to show them that uh, we're ready and we mean business or whatever. Um, just yeah, not exactly the way that he thought that would go. But I guess I just wonder though. Morgan saw something in him, like he was ready to die.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't put a guy who's comfortable with death leading your troops.
Yeah.
Um, and I think when he and Morgan talked in his room, you know, and I think Morgan understood at that moment that yeah,
That.
he really did not need to be the guy
Mm-hmm.
leading, the kingdom to war because he was ready to die. Um, as far as having something to fight for, it wouldn't have mattered to him how many people were lost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's why Morgan did what he did. Not
Yes.
only did he use it, to kind of gain favor, I think, with the Saviors, but also to take that guy out
Yes. He
of the running for, general.
eliminating Richard was definitely getting rid of a weak link. Um, because Richard, was definitely suffering a bit of a creepy messiah complex there. He was clearly seeing himself as the potential savior for everyone opposed to the saviors, and it's clear that he wasn't altogether there. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't insane necessarily, but it's clear that his
Right.
perspective on things was skewed very, very badly.
Right.
Um, Daniels makes some interesting point here. Is making an interesting point here that Negan's men will not be prepared for a full offensive. They count on fear.
Right.
They count on fear too much, and that's actually an interesting point he's bringing up there.
That's true.
Because everything they do is about intimidation. They travel in large, loud convoys. They're armed to the teeth. You know, his
Yeah.
compound is set up to deter people from ever getting in the first place. Although
Yeah.
all those elements are geared to defeating their enemies psychologically before their enemies ever try to actually do anything to them. But in terms of actual tactical acumen, in terms of actual martial prowess,
Mm-hmm.
it may very well be possible that Negan's forces are actually inadequate to the task of dealing with a determined foe. I don't know why I said it like that.
I
Do
mean,
with a determined foe. Um,
they're pretty good at chasing down small groups of people,
who are already afraid.
dissidents. Um, but it will be interesting to see how they handle an offensive. Um, and this is something that I've wondered about from a defensive standpoint. Mullet having them pour, the molten metal over the walkers on the fence, so that he's talking about preserving the integrity of the walker,
Mm-hmm.
but also it makes them stationary.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't lunge, they can't break free. Um, I'm just I'm wondering if he had like a master plan with that, or if
Mm-hmm.
he was just legitimately trying to be helpful to Negan.
Admittedly, frankly, given how shrewd Eugene is, that is entirely
Hmm.
possible and entirely possibly in an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
Not only that, but encased in molten metal, else they would be, or rather solidified metal, cover, cover for attacking troops. If you think about it,
I was wondering about that.
now that you've brought it up, I'm thinking, you know what? That would actually be excellent cover. Awkward to hide behind, but enough that it's like if you're under fire, under fire like inaccurate suppressive fire, you could actually
Mhm.
use those walkers as cover. you know, Just a
I
bit of thought.
really the way that they're set up, they have a line of sight, so they would see anyone coming at the main compound.
Yeah.
Um, Tactically, I would think it would make more sense to lure some of them away from there,
Mm-hmm.
um, and sort of hit them in waves.
That's probably part of the plan, especially with the especially with the explosives they stole from the herd trap that they ran
There you
across.
go.
Lure them into
Yeah.
a trap that blow them up.
And who was it that Richard took to that camper? Because he had all the makings of Molotov cocktails out there.
Daryl, wasn't it? Didn't you take Daryl to that two
I
episodes
think
ago?
so. Yeah.
So Daryl does know about the camper, since Richard's too dead to
Yeah.
actually tell anyone about it now.
uh, that was just. I mean, when Morgan flipped his murder switch, he went all the way. That was
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you
Brutal.
know, like with his bare hands.
Mm-hmm. Not the first time he's murdered a man with his bare hands. Though, even though he's kind of even though he's kind of slipped a lot now, it's like at the same time you could tell that he's more in control than compared to when he was completely nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bit of a hopeful sign there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's not completely lost it, it's just that he's let go of some of his apprehensions.
Yeah.
We'll see, of course, if in the long run that turns out to be a good or bad thing for him.
Right. I mean, okay, psychologically, several of the our key players right now, you don't really know how they're going to act in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan, Carol, Rosita, Sasha, even Rick, because he's been so ambivalent about actually starting the preparations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so they're all kind of in a weird headspace. Although I think Rick is in a kind of a good headspace. Hopefully, Michonne is too, because he was just he had already accepted the reality that people would die, they might die, and what they were fighting for was worth it.
Yeah.
Where Rick believed what they were fighting for is worth it. You kind of juxtapose that with where Richard was in terms of we have to do something. That they're both ready to take action.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that Richard wasn't really weighing the deaths as if they had any merit, or as if like you're fighting for something, but you still have to populate that world that you're fighting for.
In the end,
and you want good people to do that.
In the end, what was Richard really fighting for in a way?
Right. He didn't seem to have like a purpose so much as just he was driven to do something.
Yeah.
And the something was just attack this group without really any sort of clear vision of what would happen after that. Yeah. And Rick's he's fighting for what happens after that. It's not just about taking out Negan's group,
And of course, Ezekiel is kind of the one before all that, where he's afraid of everything that happens before the fight itself. His mind's
Shane
on that
said
part.
Michonne thought she was okay with people dying until she fell for Rick, and then emotions ruined her strong exterior.
Yeah. Hope she finds it again soon. Anyway, yeah. I'm definitely interested to see where things go from here. I definitely enjoyed this last episode, though. It was a very, very strong outing for the show.
So how many episodes are left?
3? 2 or 3, one of you. Not sure. So 2 or 3. I'm just not 100% on that. I mean, I guess technically we'll find out tonight. At any rate, I think there's actually a point to end this episode, because we've been talking.
Right.
We've been.
And for anyone DVRing The Walking Dead tonight, like, you can start it now and just skip right through all the commercials.
Yeah. Sure. Anyway, we want to thank you all for watching. Sorry, brain decided to fart for a second there. We want to thank you all for watching Nerd Rage episode 168. If you enjoyed it, hit that little like button above the chat box thing. I don't know why I'm looking in the general direction I normally look at for this, since you can't see my face, but whatever. Be sure to voice that was no. Be sure to
No, don't do your what, Queen voice?
What? No, what?
What's that game? The Queen one.
Oh, Long Live the Queen. That we never played?
Yeah.
Long Live the Queen, like I said?
Long Live the Queen, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do your Queen voice.
I wasn't doing that anyway. My voice was just Anyway. Also, be sure to check us out on the internet. for links to all of our internet stuff.
Yes.
Check us out on Full Frontal Nerd.
You can find.
What?
My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, what the hell?
FullFrontalNerdery.net.
Yes.
We have a Zazzle store open now.
Yes, we do.
It's Nerd Raid Show. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Limbus_N_coffee. You can find Osei on Twitter at
OAW Dixon for links to the show, and at OSRONPHAER, OSERONPHAER, for general gaming tweets, and also for links to my YouTube videos, because of course I have a YouTube channel of this same name. Are you gonna finish it?
Oh, I can finish it? I thought you were on a roll there.
You were on the roll.
No, go ahead.
And we will catch you next week for more Walking Dead discussion, more shenanigans, and, well, I'm probably still going to be in the dark. At any rate, until next week, everybody.
Send Osei candles and a lantern.
Until next week.
Good night.
Stop button. Stop. Hit the, there we go.